There is a room in Minneapolis that people ask to leave, not because it's cold or cramped or dark, though it is dark. They ask to leave because of what they start to hear, and then, a little later, because of what they start to see. Because this is the quietest place on Earth, and almost no one can sit inside it for long. Imagine you step inside and the door seals behind you. At first, it's a relief. The hum of the world, the traffic, the refrigerator, the faint electrical whine you never even notice, all of it gone at once. For a few seconds, it's the most peaceful thing you've ever felt. And then the silence keeps going. It gets deeper than silence should be able to go. And in that emptiness, something begins to rise up to meet you, a sound you have carried your whole life and never once heard. What your own mind does in the next few minutes is so unsettling that this room has become a scientific instrument for breaking people, gently, on purpose. And it reveals something about you that is true right now, in whatever room you're sitting in. The room is real. It sits inside a building called Orfield Laboratories, and Guinness World Records has certified it as the quietest place on the planet. To understand how quiet, you have to understand how we measure sound. 0 decibels is not the absence of sound. It's roughly the faintest thing a healthy human ear can detect. This room measures below that. In 2021, its background sound level was recorded at -24 decibels, far quieter than the threshold of human hearing itself. It is quieter than the inside of your own head. Getting there takes almost absurd engineering. The chamber is a room built inside another room, an inner shell of steel, floated on springs so no vibration from the ground can reach it, wrapped in concrete and layered walls over a foot thick. Every inside surface is covered in fiberglass wedges about 3 feet deep, designed to swallow sound instead of reflecting it. There is no echo because there is nothing for sound to bounce off. Even the floor is a suspended mesh, so you're standing down inside the wedges with nothing solid beneath your feet. The lab says the room absorbs 99.99% of the sound that enters it. Practically speaking, no sound survives in there except yours. And here is the first strange thing that happens to you inside it. With the whole outside world switched off, the quietest sounds left in the universe are the ones coming from your own body. You hear your heartbeat, not feel it, hear it. You hear the blood moving through your head. You hear your lungs fill and empty. A faint creak in your joints when you shift your weight. A high, thin hiss that turns out to be your own nervous system. Reporters who've gone inside describe hearing themselves blink. The tiny, wet sound of an eyelid closing, something no human being has ever needed to hear. The man who runs the lab puts it simply. In that room, he says, you become the sound. There is nothing else left to hear but you. This is not just a curiosity, it's a tool. Manufacturers rent the room to hear the true sound of a product with everything else stripped away. The click of a switch, the hum of a phone. And NASA has used chambers like this one to prepare astronauts because space itself is the ultimate anechoic chamber. Out there, in the vacuum, there is no air to carry sound, and so there is nothing. A silence more total than anything on Earth. Before we send people into that void, we have to find out how a human mind holds up when the world goes quiet. And what we've learned is not reassuring. Then it starts to affect more than your ears. Your sense of balance quietly depends on sound, on the way noise bounces off the walls and floor around you, telling your brain where those surfaces are. You never think about it, but you are constantly using the echo of the world to know where you are inside it. Strip that away, and your body loses its bearings. People inside the chamber report that after a while they can't stand up straight. The room seems to tilt, some feel sick, some have to sit down. In total darkness and total silence, the simple act of knowing which way is up becomes difficult. It's why the lab sits you in a chair before it ever closes the door. Left standing, many people would simply fall over, and that's just the body. In 2009, 2 researchers, Mason and Brady, decided to find out what the mind does when you take away everything it's used to receiving. They put healthy, ordinary volunteers, people with no history of mental illness, into an anechoic chamber, in complete darkness and complete silence, and simply left them there. Not for hours, for 15 minutes. 15 minutes was enough. The volunteers came out reporting a strange menu of experiences. Many felt a creeping paranoia, a sense that something was wrong, that they were somehow not as alone as they should be. Some described a flatness, a loss of any sense of pleasure, as if the emotion had been drained out of them along with the sound. And the more suggestible among them began to hallucinate. They saw objects in the dark that were not there. Several saw faces. A few reported a sudden sharpened sense of smell with no source in the room. And two of them came out convinced that something evil had been in the chamber with them. A presence, standing close, in a room they knew for a fact was sealed and empty. 15 minutes of nothing, and the mind had already started building something to fill it. Now hold that against the way most of us think about quiet, as rest, as relief, as the thing we can't get enough of. These people were handed perfect quiet, and their minds turned it into a haunting. So why does this happen? Why can't the brain simply enjoy the quiet? The answer is that your brain was never designed to sit still and receive nothing. It is a prediction machine, running every second of your life on a flood of incoming signal: sound, light, pressure, movement. Take the signal away, and it does not power down, it turns itself up. Neuroscientists studying the ringing sound called tinnitus have found that when the ears go quiet, the brain compensates by cranking up its own internal gain, weakening the brakes that normally keep it in check until it generates sound with no source at all. That faint ring you sometimes notice in a very quiet room isn't the room. It's your own auditory system, amplifying its emptiness until it hears something. And it doesn't stop at sound. Here is the idea that has quietly reshaped how neuroscientists think about the brain. You tend to imagine perception as a camera. The world comes in through your senses, and you simply see it. But that's not what happens. Your brain is guessing. At every instant, it builds a prediction of what's out there, and then uses the trickle of information from your eyes and ears only to correct the guess. Most of what you experience is generated on the inside and checked against the outside. Now take away the outside. Put the brain somewhere with nothing to check against. It keeps guessing anyway, and with no incoming data to correct it, those guesses leak straight out as experience. A shape in the dark, a face, a presence at your shoulder. The machinery that builds your seamless picture of the world keeps running, and without the world to keep it honest, it hands you a picture of nothing, dressed up as something. Which means the hallucinations aren't a malfunction. They are what your perception has been doing all along. You just finally caught it, running with the lights off. And think about how rare this really is. Go to the quietest natural place you can imagine. A forest at midnight, a desert with no wind. Measure it, and it still hums at 20 or 30 decibels. Insects, air, the faint machinery of the living world. The silence in that Minneapolis room is dozens of times deeper than anything the outdoors can offer. In the entire history of life on this planet, almost nothing has ever stood in silence like that. Because until we built a room to make it, that kind of silence did not exist anywhere a living thing could go. Here's the part that turns this back on you. We treat silence as the thing we're missing. We buy noise-canceling headphones, we pay for silent retreats, we chase quiet like it's the cure for a too loud life. And a little quiet genuinely helps, but real silence, total, absolute, world-erasing silence, is something your species has almost never experienced. For every generation that came before you, there was always wind, water, insects, breath. The low murmur of a living world that never once went quiet. Your brain evolved expecting that murmur. It uses it constantly, without your permission, as proof that the world is still out there. Take it all away, and the brain doesn't relax. It panics quietly and starts inventing a world to replace the one that vanished. So think about what that room is really testing. It isn't testing how much silence you can stand. It's showing you how much of your reality was never coming from outside you in the first place. The steady, quiet, dependable world you think you're sitting in right now, the walls holding still, the floor staying solid, the comfortable near silence, a great deal of that is not being received. It's being manufactured moment to moment by a brain stitching together a flood of tiny signals into something seamless. You only get to notice the stitching when the signals stop. This is why almost no one lasts long in there. The story goes that the record is about 45 minutes, a number that gets repeated so often it's become a kind of legend. And whether or not it's exactly true, the truth underneath it is simpler and stranger. People ask to come out. Not because anything hurts, not because they're in any danger. The room is perfectly safe. They ask to leave because being sealed in with a mind that has nothing left to work on turns out to be one of the most unsettling things a person can do. The quiet doesn't calm them. It closes in. And they realize, sometimes within minutes, that the last thing they want is to be alone with the sound of themselves. We are not built to meet ourselves with the volume all the way down. So listen right now to the room you're in. The hum you've been ignoring this whole time, the air, the distant traffic, the small sounds you would swear are nothing. That nothing is the tether. It is the quiet, constant signal that keeps your mind pointed outward, at the world, and away from the strange machinery underneath. There is a room in Minneapolis that takes the tether away, and in the silence that's left, people don't find peace. They find out, for a few minutes, what the mind sounds like when it's the only thing left to hear. And almost every one of them asks, very quickly, to be let back out into the noise.